Hey, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to Straight to Amp. My name is Alex. Today's episode is the second half of our interview with our good friend Luke Jacob Thiessen. We've also got a new featured song for you at the end of today's episode, brought to you by Luke himself. I'll post the link to his music and social media in the episode description and on our website, straighttoamp.com. Check it out, check him out, enjoy the episode.
So I guess I actually had a question for you. Is like, we talked about how it's great that scenes kind of are able to interchange and commingle and mix, but how does a scene go about growing itself in a city, especially one as small as Winnipeg?
How does the scene go about growing itself?
Yes.
I mean, to me, like, Winnipeg is blessed with, to me, it's the right size to be kind of an incubator city where there's enough people who like going to shows that it can sustain a scene. But then at the same time, Winnipeg has such a huge amount of musicians, per capita.
Yeah.
It's actually, even Statistics Canada and Canada Revenue Agency will say that Winnipeg has more people who are legitimately employed as artists per capita than any other Canadian city.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Which is pretty amazing.
I think that the argument for that is we have such cultural diversity in comparison to a lot of the other frozen winter cities, right?
That's true.
In comparison to any of the cities in Saskatchewan or Alberta, we have such a huge cultural diversity which lends itself to many different music styles.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
then when the winter hits, what are you going to do, right? You either play hockey or you play music.
You retreat into your basement and you fire up the tube amps.
Yeah, exactly.
No, and I think the way that to get back to your question, the way that can grow is through making an organized effort. And I mean, I want to be careful what I say here because I know in Winnipeg there's quite a few of these already, and I know that there's also some drama between them.
Okay.
So I'm not part of any of these, and I don't want to say that I'm for or against anyone in particular. But there's a bunch of them Real Love, which they do a summer festival, but they also are they do concert promotion throughout the year.
Right.
They'll bring in touring bands and then pair them up with local bands, or just a bunch of local bands, stick them together, do a show, at the Goodwill and the Handsome Daughter and stuff. There's Riel Underground is another one.
Yep.
There's a few of these, and to me, those are good things. People who are just saying, I'm going to volunteer my time, not just to be a musician and book my own shows, but to help foster the scene, to bring different musical acts together, put them on a stage, and promote it.
Yeah.
That is so important. But I think Winnipeg, again, because there's so many people and it's such a everybody knows everybody and has beef with everybody.
There's a lot of drama.
Yeah, that ends up it ends up cannibalizing itself to some degree. So I think it's mostly a positive. It's we also have to just, I don't know, get along a little better, cooperate. I don't know quite what the answer is.
Why can't we be friends?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's one common goal is and that's what this podcast is about is to create the awareness and create a better music scene in Winnipeg.
To really just unearth all those hidden gems out there.
Yeah.
So it's good to I've heard of Real Love before. I wasn't really sure what they did beyond concert promotions, but knowing that they're teaming up local bands with touring bands is just one of the best things ever.
There's an organization in Toronto like that too called Homesick, which does all emo stuff. They pair touring emo bands with local emo bands, and they've built an incredible scene where there's 20 brand new Toronto-based emo bands in the last 5 years.
Oh yeah.
And they all just have a party every single Friday night at Sneaky D's. And I really want to do something like that in Winnipeg. And it seems like it's kind of starting to happen. And Real Love kind of does that with a lot of this stuff, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think
There's also the Purple Room too.
Oh yeah, the Purple Room, that's right.
So they used to start off, they used to be localized in the Exchange District when they had a big Purple Room to rent out for local shows. And that was the same warehouse that my old band used to play in, but just on the main floor. So I loved going there. I think they're in between stations right now.
Yeah, that's my understanding too. I feel like Real Love does a good job of it in some ways because they put a lot of effort into it and they have a budget and whatever. It seems to me that it works well, and they're the biggest. I think they're the biggest ones who do it. But to me, it's like I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but maybe like if there's going to be lots of different organizations doing this, like if they would go genre specific, that would probably help. Because if you're like, oh, I love punk music and I always love the shows that this one group puts on, then it kind of brands it, and I think that would help fans connect more with.
Yeah, that's a good point, because ultimately it's like if you're looking for something specific, you just want to find it quickly and go.
Yeah. Because I think that things like Real Love do well for the bands, like they do well by connecting these bands, but I don't know how well they necessarily do for the fans. Like, do people who are not musicians and are not in the scene recognize that as a brand that they trust and like what makes them want to go to a show? I don't know. Like, I'm not saying yes or no, but I question that. Like, I feel like if you segmented it by genre, maybe that would help.
Be a jack of all trades, master at none.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think that's like a really good idea, because then, you'd get every single like scene or like individual. Derek, for example, would want to go to like a punk show on a certain night and be like, okay, well, this particular punk organization is promoting this punk show at this venue. Like, I want to go because I know it's going to be a bunch of really great punk bands.
Folk, indie, anything like that, country.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
And
country, I think there actually is like that one. I feel like Winnipeg has a little better handle on, but
but then because then you'd avoid drama of places trying to book the same bands all the time, like the same band and then getting in arguments over that. That's interesting. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot, actually.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a perfect solution, but I feel like we can good things are happening and it can be done even better.
Yeah, some fine tunings.
Yeah.
But I mean, like that's kind of how you started out, right? Like it's somebody trying to find their way in that sort of way, and then eventually, a better solution or a better formula kind of comes about. So I like it. I can dig it. I can really get behind that. So I don't know, just kind of like what are you listening to lately that you're like really really into other than the Americana stuff?
Aside from Americana, I'm a huge. I know this is like a fierce debate with people. Like, I'm a Spotify person versus a Apple Music person.
Okay.
And I love my Discover Weekly on Spotify. Like, it's just
they're really good. Both programs are really nice.
It's been amazing, and I've found like what's been working really well for me is using that to find like pretty small time kind of blues and Americana bands, and even people who are like maybe a solo project from a band that I already listened to, and all of a sudden I didn't even know that one of the band members had a solo project.
Those are always really great to find out about.
And I was like, man, I've been this just happened to me the other day. I'm going to open my Spotify while we're talking, because there was this there's this band that I used to listen to called Sugar and the High Lows, and they're kind of a little bit of a like soul blues, something like that, and then my Discover Weekly pulled up this song from an artist I had never heard, and I found out afterwards that she's like one half of that duo. Amy Stroop is her name.
Okay.
And she has this new track out called Magic, and it's like really kind of soul, like old school soul mixed with blues rock. I don't know. It's fantastic.
It's a happy surprise.
Yeah, and I've been listening to it for months, and I Googled her to see if she had anything else, and it's like, member of Sugar and the High Lows. Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not really much of either one of those programs. I tend to end up like a lot of physical or like digital media that I like own myself.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I use my own program. But whenever I do dabble in using either Apple Music or Spotify, I find that their Discover Weeklies are always amazing. Like you just when they finally figure out what your like broader taste is, and they're just feeding you tracks, it's like, whoa, I like this. Whoa, I like this. Like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I mean that's really cool that both of these companies were able to independently develop awesome algorithms to help people find music that is really attuned to their taste. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like how did we do it back in the day? Listening to the radio,
word of mouth,
and
a lot of word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Yeah, because now I'm into discovering more and more and more music. Like I already had so much, and then it's just like all the bands and all the genres of music I like. Now it's just getting wider and wider.
Yeah.
That's why we need to do online stuff. Because you can't. have
like,
all this
actually
on one
try
device
to
now.
see.
You have to do it all
Yeah.
through some kind of streaming
Yeah.
device.
Or you,
Yeah, Rob brings up a good point. Like back in the day when you could go to like a record store, there'd be like the thing hanging on the wall.
Oh,
with,
like
like,
the HMV.
yeah, with like
Oh,
the
yeah.
4 or 5 different CDs, and you'd go and put the cans
Yeah.
on. And
And you're like, nah.
yeah, not into this at all.
well, I just like I'm pretty nostalgic for that time. It took me a long time to come around to using digital streaming because for me it started like I grew up not having internet at home, like to an embarrassingly long time. Like I only got internet in like 2010 or something.
Oh.
But I remember like getting music magazines, reading the CD reviews, reading the album reviews, and then going. It's like the next time that my parents were like going into Winnipeg, I would go to HMV, buy the record. Never heard it. Never heard a single song on it, but read the review. And like that was music discovery for me.
That's actually something that I have found, being in the radio industry. That's actually been still like really helpful. I'll get all these like PR whatevers from different companies, and they'll be like, okay, well here's everything that we're releasing this week, and like here's a small blurb. But the most important and useful thing is the recommend if you like at the bottom, where they're like, we recommend that you listen to this if you like these 6 bands. And it's like, I like every single one of those bands. I am absolutely going to like this track.
Yeah.
So then you bump it, and it's like, yeah, no, this is incredible. So
Totally.
I still find that that's still useful, right? So
yeah, that's absolutely it. I mean, and to me, like now these streaming services and like with Discover Weekly is essentially just like an automated version of that.
Yeah,
right?
it's the
Because they're
same thing.
like, people who listen to this are also listening to that. You listen to that,
Yeah.
so we're going to feed it to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the same thing.
it's a good idea. For me, it took me such a long time to get into streaming audio because for the longest time, the quality that they would stream was just bad,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like I'm such an audiophile, and if it's not coming through at least 320, like I'm just not having it.
Yeah.
So when they're only for the longest time streaming stuff was only like 196, and it's like, well,
Right.
I can't hear the hi-hats right, and it's all just kind of muddled, and the snare sounds off. So I can totally understand like why it took so long for that to get off the ground. But
Right.
now that everybody has such good Wi-Fi or data on their phone, like constantly, it's just so easy to have high-quality music.
I think anybody who subscribes to those things is that music goes directly onto the phone, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
If you subscribe to Spotify, it goes directly on. Versus if you don't,
Yeah.
like, I don't subscribe to it. I
Yeah.
use it, but I don't subscribe.
Yeah.
Like I'm a late bloomer on it too. Like I'm still rocking my iPod Classic, which is like 120 gigs, and that's what's almost full.
That thing is still like such a good thing. I can't believe that they discontinued it. I get that like streaming is like a thing, but for people that like to have like the actual digital tracks, like why wouldn't like 120 gigs is the best possible?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's so good.
Yeah,
So
I know
much
lots
music.
of people who still have that, and even if they only use it for like listening in the car, it's like, well, then their iPod lives in the car. Like that's
Yeah.
you're still using it.
That for me.
I had that-
I jam off of it. It's in my car. It's everywhere I go.
I had a little iPod a while ago and I ended up losing it, but it was a really tiny little Nano, had like 100, 200 songs on it, and I couldn't update it anymore.
Yeah.
So I had
you
same
couldn't
5
limit me
bands.
to that amount of music.
It wasn't
Yeah.
enough. It was
No.
basically a gym. It was my workout iPod at that point until someone stole it.
Well, I mean, my 1.5 TB hard drive at home is almost full. I'm gonna have to get another one. So just all that music.
I think what got me into streaming was songs back in the day.
Yeah, songs.
Because it was the curated playlist that sold it for me. Because before that, I was still buying my own albums. I would take a chance on like the random ones here and there to see what's new, but those pushed me into new artists, and then after that, I was hooked. Like I need the regular feed of new songs. I can't listen to the same bands.
Same. Because when I first found songs before Spotify, it was discovering new, but it's also throwing me back to old.
Yes.
Like you listen to like a 90s playlist, and all of a sudden like all these like Gin Blossoms would come on. Like, oh god, this band was used like in every 90s like teenage movie. Like I forgot about these guys.
Something like that happened to me like a couple of months ago. I was at the station. I was bumping a whole bunch of old tracks off of a playlist, and all of a sudden, Brand New came on. And I was like, "Whoa!" It's been like years since I listened to these guys. Why did I stop? Like, that's kind of always a weird thing. Like you're always listening to new stuff, and then you end up forgetting about an old thing that was like something that you really liked passionately for a short period of time, and then lost it. But then, hey, by the way, you still like it.
Well, that's actually, I have a question for you guys. Building on that, this week I was talking to some friends at work about this. And we kind of like realized that seems to be like a really strong divide in music fandom. Whether you're the type of person who will, when you find a song that you love, listen to it on repeat. like literally on repeat, or whether it's like I'll listen to it a lot, but I need to save some for later. Like I don't want to get sick of it.
A little bit of both, actually.
Yeah, I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
I won't sit and listen to it on repeat right there. I might listen to it once or twice if I really like the song, but you can guarantee it's making it on my regular daily playlist. I'm going to listen to it at least twice a day for like the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, totally. I mean, to me, that's the other side. It's like either you're the person who will listen to it literally 12 times in a row, or you're like every day, maybe twice a day, a couple times a day. Like there's a dividing line.
I think I'm on repeat for about 4 or 5 times, then I'll change it. Like it's like right when I either first download on Spotify or buy it on iTunes. Like the other day I bought, I kept hearing on the radio and I needed to know who it was. It was a cover of While My Guitar Gently Weeps by Jeff Healey Band.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And like the guitar solos, you would love it because they're very bluesy solos, like Stevie Ray Vaughan meets the Beatles. And I'm like, these guitar solos are so great. And I listened to that song on repeat the other day for like 4 or 5 times. Yeah, and then I'll shift.
I have odd listening patterns. I pretty much just like try to listen to albums front to back, and that's all I do.
Yeah.
Like if I like something, I'll just be like, okay, I'm gonna listen to this album, and once I've done this album, then I'll move on to something else. If there's one song I like in that particular album, then I'll like listen to the album over and over again.
Right.
But I don't know. For me, it's just like a total package. I have a hard time listening to just like one song.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So I guess everybody's a little bit different. There's 2 sides. Like some like you get that one song that you will listen on repeat. Some you gotta listen to. You gotta hear the variety.
I'll get that even if it's a song I've heard before or I'm really familiar with.
Yeah.
Where it's just like that mood. It gets me in the place I'm in during that time of month or time of year.
Okay, there's one song actually that's like that. I can listen to Africa by Toto. Anytime. Anytime.
It's the greatest song ever made.
It's so good. It's so good.
My band actually did a cover of that. We used to play it at shows.
Oh, no way.
And it was just like, it was so...
It pops the crowd.
I don't know. It was poorly received.
Why would people...
The wrong crowd, obviously.
It was probably the wrong crowd, yeah. I don't know.
You guys need to record that and send that my way.
Okay.
I'll play it every single week on the radio without fail.
Actually, I got a question, and we saw a group open up for you guys at La Garage. They did something interesting we were talking about, and this question, if you guys ever do this, is do you ever take a song that's a cover and make it your own?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I've like a big part of what I do in my solo stuff is for me, it's not usually like pop songs. Like those guys were doing like some killer like modern pop tunes, and even like some like nice '90s throwbacks.
Yeah, Smash Mouth.
Yeah,
they did All Star. I was just like, that was a great cover. And they just took it and just kind of brought it down.
And they did like No Diggity.
Yeah, they did a few fades. So yeah, back to yours.
For me, it's like I do it more with like old African American spirituals and like old folk songs. It's like I do a cover of Where Did You Sleep Last Night, like In the Pines by Leadbelly.
Oh yeah.
Which like technically a cover. My version obviously sounds nothing like it.
Yeah.
I love to take stuff like that and just totally morph it, like find a completely different way to do it. But yeah, even like with my other band, with The Boy in the Sea, last year we did a cover of Adele. Send My Love to Your Lover, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And that went over really well because we just like totally turned it into something completely different. Like it was still pop, it was still really accessible and didn't change the melody, but just going in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
And we had tons of people come along and say like, "This
that was awesome.
I listened to this instead of the Adele one now. Like, this is better."
I found a great like cover of Adele by it's called Smith and Myers was the name of the group, and they're the singer and guitar player of a band called Shinedown.
Oh,
and they did a cover of Someone Like You by Adele, but made it their own. And it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
And I've actually found there's a lot of people in the rock industry who have this big respect for Adele. Like I've seen guys from metal bands actually go and take pictures front row at an Adele show.
She has an incredible voice.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
So like, I love hearing people do covers of artists like that and kind of bring it to the different genres. Like if you take it to the blues side, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like I was just having this conversation with the guys in my band because we're working on we just finished recording a new single actually yesterday.
Nice.
Which will be our next single, and we were really happy with it because we were like, this song, like it's a rock song, and it's like, you know, electric guitars, whatever, full band. It's got lots of production on it, but we were like, you could actually just play just an acoustic guitar and vocals. and it would take nothing away from the song. Like it sounds good just like that. And it was like, man, I feel like any good song, regardless of genre, you should A, be able to do that, and B, be able to turn it into a different genre.
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to play a country version of that song, and it's still great.
Or a reggae version.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for reggae covers.
Yeah. you know what?
Too. I don't know where that came from.
For me, I figure it out. For me, it was Rancid.
Oh yeah, didn't
Tim Armstrong's big on reggae.
Yeah, he loves it. I mean, obviously, right? Like he was
Tim Armstrong?
Yeah.
I don't know Rancid at all, but I know Tim Armstrong. Yeah, he's big on reggae.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, because like if you listen to like his side project, right? Like Tim and the Time Bombs, that's all like that too. And the Transplants has got a really heavy reggae influence as well. And I mean, he was obviously in Op Ivy, right? Which is like the grandfather of all modern third wave ska bands. So he's he loves reggae. He's real big into it. So that's reggae covers are just awesome. It's such a soothing genre, right? Like Zionist dub is just like it's just chill.
Yeah, reggae and ska. I went through a pretty strong phase, reggae and ska.
Nice.
I gotta say, like, there was those bands that would do
ska.
covers of, like, I don't know, Hotel California, or so just random, like, yeah.
God, I can't remember, but one of the Gold Eyes players, like a number of years ago, used to come out to a Revolution song, and I was like, "Oh, that's amazing!" Like that guy coming out on a baseball team full of like hip hop and country, coming out to like Nightcrawler by Revolution, which is like the biggest like reggae dub song I've heard in a long time. It's awesome.
So, I got a question. I think it's something we kind of ask each other almost every episode. Is
a hot dog a sandwich?
Is a hot dog a sandwich? is one. And two, your favorite venues to play?
Favorite venues to play?
Yeah.
I mentioned it earlier. I love playing the Windsor.
Yeah, that was one. Yeah.
That one, there's something magical about it. It's the right size. They've got actually a rockin' sound system. It's really, really solid. Aside from that, I've had good experiences playing at the Park Theater. That one is good for me. For being a larger venue, it still feels intimate.
Yeah.
And it still feels good from the stage. And
I mean, it was built for movie design, so the acoustics in there are very nice. Like, it's no matter where you're sitting in that theater or standing in that theater, like you're experiencing the music the way that the artist intends it, because it all flows so well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, I'm making this up right now, and it's going to sound really cliche, but I think, like, at the end of the day, the best venue to play is the one where your fans are, and, like, the ones where people love you. Because, like, even a place that sounds terrible, your monitor mix is bad, maybe you don't even have monitors. Like, everything feels like garbage. Yeah. I mean, Le Garage, no hate on them at all, but they've got, like, kind of a crappy sound system, and like, we were there and one of the guys' guitars broke down, and I needed to play the whole thing on acoustic, and it was like, man, this is not being set up for success. But it was a killer show. Like, it was so much fun. It felt good on the stage. So for me, it's like, that was one of the most fun times I've had on stage. But yeah, I think the Windsor and the Park, I haven't played every venue in the city, but those are the ones that have always felt really good to me.
I haven't played at either one of those. Playing at the Park would be amazing, though.
I've never played. I think I have actually played my own solo set there. I've been there a couple times for like I don't know if you know the Witch Police big mix-up that they did.
Sam's a good friend of mine, so
yeah, I was thinking, especially if you like reggae. I feel like you know Sam.
Well, I've worked together with him, right? So.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's two questions to it. Your favorite venue to play, your favorite venue to see a band at.
Oh yeah. I think for watching, like, is a completely different thing. To see a band, the Burt is always fun, but it's not. But like, sometimes there's a band that just doesn't fit there.
No, I agree.
So in the right situation, the Burt is a magical place. And then maybe on a smaller scale, oh man, I don't know. That's tough. I feel like the Park is good for both. I like the Park.
Yeah,
I've seen some really great sets at the Park where it felt nice and intimate, and it feels smaller than it is. Like, it doesn't, when you're there, it doesn't feel like there's 600 people around you. I think that's their capacity, 500 or 600.
That sounds
Something
right.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like maybe 200, nice and intimate.
Yeah.
What was I going to say about that? I've seen shows that from the solo acoustic show to Metal Fest, I think it was last year, the year before that, and every show, doesn't matter what they do, they just seem to just nail the acoustics on that place. So
Totally.
I agree.
At the park, yeah.
At the park,
That's great.
it always sounds good.
Whoever their tech is really, really awesome. Like, he does a good job.
I'm gonna backtrack slightly and say that I think like of say maybe like the top 10 shows I've ever seen, like probably half of them were at the Garrick. But the Garrick can also be really bad.
Yeah.
So I think it's just polarizing.
Yeah, and I think it's like you said about the Burt. I think the band has to fit the venue.
Yeah.
If the band doesn't fit the venue, then
Watching a hardcore show at the Garrick is the worst thing because the floor is so sloped.
Yeah.
And as soon as dorks try and start to hardcore dance and on the floor at the Garrick, it just ruins everything. It's so bad.
Totally. And I remember my first ever concert that I went to, like, anywhere, was at the Garrick, and it was Jet. Like,
yeah.
wow.
And that was my first real legit show that I like drove myself to, and like as like a 16-year-old, and that was killer.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It was before they renovated it, so the sound system wasn't great, and I think their capacity was higher. Like they were somehow allowed, or nobody cared. They just shoved more people in there.
Yeah, just kind of go up the timeline.
Sorry, folks. Recording difficulties. And now, back to regularly scheduled programming.
Is there any upcoming shows? Any dates to point out?
No confirmed shows at the moment. We just applied for our festival season, and we're heading into the recording studio shortly, so we're not doing shows for a bit.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we've got a single coming out soon, and that's what I'll probably send to you because we just finished recording it yesterday.
Yeah, we get that copy on there. We'll definitely get it on this episode.
Cool.
Okay. So,
Derek, any shows you want to promote? Anything coming up?
just festival.
Yeah, that's true.
If you
See Bright Righteous there.
Dust Runners, there's a whole bunch. I saw Sturgeons, I think, around there too.
Oh yeah.
Rory and the Ruckus.
And then Royal Canoe's got that show that's happening just outside the festival. It's not actually part of the event, but
yeah, that's right. But I think that one sold out in like a couple of minutes.
Did you get tickets?
No, I didn't. Now I'm super choked.
We got tickets. You and Adam need to get tickets for that. It'll be a good show.
Yeah.
There's a couple stuff that I'm definitely recommending that people go to. Greg Rekus and Screaming at Traffic are playing on the 28th of February at the Windsor.
Nice.
Along with Inside Job and Trampoline, which should be really, really good. And then on the 31st of March, so I guess we'll end up talking about it before then, but I still want to plug it now so people can get in on it. Winnipeg's first emo night with Boys Club, Sitcom, Fox Lake, and Sawyer is at the new club St. B on the 31st of March. So hit up those shows.
Are you ready to spiel that all out again?
Oh, were we not recording?
No, we're good.
Yeah, so LJT, thank you for coming out today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is a true honor, our very first interview for the episode number 3. Hopefully we'll get you out here again around the time you're finished up recording, getting ready to go back on tour, talk about some upcoming shows.
Yeah, totally.
Right on, man.
All right, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Super appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Stay frosty.
Peace.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. I'd like to send out a big thank you to LJT for coming on to the show, spending some time with us, and for letting us share this amazing song with all of you. I'll post links to the song on Apple Music as well as all the contact info in the episode description. Now from his 2014 album Comforts, this is In the Pines by Luke Jacob. Enjoy.
My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines where the sun don't ever shine, I would shiver the whole night through. My girl, where will you go? I'm going where the cold wind blows. In the pines where the sun don't ever shine, I would shiver the whole night through. Her husband was a hard-working man, just about a mile from here. His head was found in a driving wheel, but his body never was found. My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines where the sun don't ever shine, I would shiver the whole night the